Numbers 18, behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tithes, the tenths in Israel, as an inheritance in return for the work which they perform, the work of the tabernacle of meeting. So the Levites were dedicated to God's house and getting it built and working in it. That's all they did. For the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer up as a heave offering, so there were wave offerings, and then there were heave offerings. That kind of heave offerings. I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I've said to them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. A unique tribe, unlike all the others. Of the 12 tribes, there was one tribe that received a tenth of the income of all the other tribes. And all the other tribes had plots of land. It would go from generation to generation. And on that land, they would pasture their sheep and herd their cows and plant their crops and get their living off the land that God gave them. Not the Levites. Something else. They have this thing called the tithe. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak thus to the Levites and say to them, when you take from the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given you from them as your inheritance, then you shall offer up a heave offering of it to the Lord, a tenth of the tithe. So Israel offered up a heave offering that went to the Levites. The Levites would then offer up a heave offering, a tenth that would go to the Lord. Thus you shall also offer a heave offering to the Lord from all your tithes which you received from the children of Israel, and you shall give the Lord's heave offering from it to Aaron the priest. So the 12 tribes would give, the 11 tribes would give the tenth to the one tribe. The tribe would give a tenth of that to the priesthood. So the Levites and the priesthood. Now, why that's Old Covenant, but why that's important now is Paul talks about it in 1 Corinthians 9. He says, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Don't I get to make certain decisions that God gives me the right to make? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? Are you not my work in the Lord? Because his apostleship was being challenged by people. He was being questioned and put on trial. If I'm not an apostle to others, yet doubtless I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. In other words, you're the proof of my work because you're my work. I'm an apostle and you're the work that I perform. My defense to those who examine me, put me on trial, is this. Do we have no right to eat and drink? Do we have no right to take along a believing wife? What do you mean? Of course you have a right to eat and drink. And he's saying, no, do I not have a right for the church to give me the eat and drink so that I can eat and drink? And do I not have a right to take along a believing wife, as do also the other apostles, the brothers of the Lord, and Cephas? So the first pope had a wife that he took with him, and so did the other apostles. And that was on the church as well. I don't know what travel expenses were in those days, but to take a wife was a deal. Or is it only Barnabas and I who have no right to refrain from working? Whoever goes to war at his own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit, or who tends a flock does not drink the milk of the flock. Do I say these things as a mere man, or does not the law say the same thing also? So he refers back to the law. For it's written in the law, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain. Is it oxen God is concerned about? Or does he say it altogether for our sakes? I wonder how many things in the law he was actually saying altogether for our sakes. For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he who plows should plow in hope. What hope? And he who threshes in hope should be partaker of his hope. If we have sown spiritual things for you, is it a great thing if we reap your material harvest? Is it really that big of a deal? If others partake of this right over you, are we not even more? Nevertheless, we have not used this right, but we endure all things lest we hinder the gospel of Christ. I'm not going to go into the expansive teaching, but at times he'd say the Macedonians I'm robbing the Macedonian churches because they're paying for me when I'm not receiving from you. So he wouldn't always be tent making, but when he needed to, he did. And when he got help from other churches, he would not have support from everybody because there's a reason not to. Do you not know that those who minister the holy things, this is the verse, do you not know that those who minister the holy things eat of the things of the temple? What's that? Numbers, we just read it. And those who serve at the altar partake of the offerings of the altar. Tithing's not New Testament. Well, we went into Hebrews last week a little bit. But I'll say it's right here. You say, well, I don't see the word tithe. No, but he's speaking directly to tithing. He's saying that those who ministered, the Levites, the priests, that was their life. They didn't have the plot of land. They were being supported by this. That was the tithe. You'd say, well, but it doesn't say the word tithe. Well, it's the only thing that supported them. It was the tithe that did it. And you say, well, rapture isn't in the Bible. Okay, let's don't argue over that word. What? Trinity isn't in the Bible. Okay, there's still three. That's in the Bible. And here, tithing is in the New Testament and before the law as well. Even so, in just this way, in the same manner, the Lord has commanded that those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel. How is that? The Old Testament, they gave the tenth. New Testament, we give the tenth. Where is it in the Bible? I just read it. Okay, so